Alright, so this is going to be the first video graphing square root functions. I'm going to have around 4 different problems that we're going to work, and I've decided to do one problem per video. This will be the first problem that we work, and let me just show you the other problems. Here's the other problems that I'll be working. This is going to be video 1. This will be in video example 2. This will be example 3, and this will be example 4. So if there's a particular one you want to see, you can just go to that particular example. And you can see they start out easy and then they get a little more difficult. Alright, so let's come back to this one. Alright, so we've got f of x equals the square root of x. And the way that we're going to graph it is we're going to make a table. Alright, so let's make an xy table. Let's see. Alright, so make our xy table. There's our x f of x. And what we want to do is you want to pick about 3 points. And I don't know, your teacher might want you to pick 5 points. If that's the case, then, pick 5 points. But for these videos, I'll pick 3. Alright, so the first number that you want to pick is when you look underneath the square root. Okay, look what's underneath the square root. What number would we plug in for x to make that 0? Well, in this case, it would just be the number 0, because if we replace x with 0, we would get the square root of 0. Okay, so that's the first number you want to choose. And then you want to choose 2 numbers that are larger than this one, than the 0. So I'm going to pick 1 and 4. All right. Now, you can choose any numbers you want, okay? Except for you can't have a negative underneath the square root. So that means we couldn't put in -1 or -2 or -4, because that would give us an imaginary number, okay? So the only numbers that we can have underneath a square root is the number 0 and positive numbers. Okay. Now, when you're choosing numbers, you can choose any numbers you want. Okay, as long as you don't get a negative under the square root. But by picking certain numbers, it makes it easier to plot the points and graph them. Okay, and that's why when I choose the numbers, I just say, okay, what makes underneath the square root 0? Well, in this case, it's 0. And then I pick 2 numbers larger, because if we chose 2 numbers smaller than 0, that would give us a negative under the square root. Now, why did I choose 1 and 4? Well, because 1 is a perfect square. The square root of 1 is 1. And 4 is a perfect square. The square root of 4 is 2. Could I have chosen the numbers 2 or 3? Yeah, you could choose 2 instead of a 4. You could choose 0, 1, 2, but then you have the square root of 2. Well, what are you going to do with that? Okay, that's more difficult to plot, the square root of 2, because it's a decimal. Okay, so that's why we want to choose numbers that just make it easier for us. So now to get our y values, we're going to put each one of these x values in the function. And so that's the square root of 0, which is 0. So our y value would be 0. And then I'm going to plug in 1. So f of 1, that's the square root of 1, which is 1. And then f of 4, which is the square root of 4, which equals 2. And so now I have 3 points that I can plot. So let's go ahead and plot the points. So we'll plot the point 0, 0. We'll plot the point 1, 1, so over 1 and up 1. And then we'll plot the point 4, 2. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and then go up 2. Okay. And you can see that it gives you a good idea of what the shape of the graph is. And so when we draw the graph, we just connect the points, and it's going to look something like that. All right. Now remember, now this graph is not going to come back down this way. Okay. Because if you draw the graph back this way, then you're saying that you have this point on the graph with an x value of -1, and you can't take the square root of -1. It's not a real number. It's an imaginary number. Okay. So there's that one, and I'll have some more examples, and you saw the examples, so you can go to whichever video that you think you need to watch. But thanks for watching. Give me a like, share, subscribe, and that's it.